Well, Ben, we were sure.
This is pretty cold.
What is?
This open.
This is the show that we're doing, and it's really, really good. Yeah. Welcome to the show.
It's a show.
Hello, and welcome to Ben and Marshall Do a Podcast. It's the official podcast of the Great Scub Do, where we talk about movies and TV stuff. Usually movies and
Usually I don't think we've talked about. I mean, unless it's like in what we're watching.
Vaguely.
Yeah,
and we've talked about games sometimes. There's a lot of game news this week, a lot of it, and it's gonna be a lot. So with that, I guess let's get right into the news.
Let's do it. Let's just get this thing
we never introduced
really
ourselves.
started.
That's the thing that I always... I'm Marshall.
Hey, that's Marshall.
And you...
I'm Ben.
And with me as always.
And we're doing a podcast.
I'm Marshall and this is Ben and we're doing a podcast. And let's get right into the news. Ben, big news this week.
Oh, really?
From the Sony front. Whoa, it's the PlayStation 5.
Yes.
They're doing it. We didn't know if they would do it, and they did. They're doing it.
We knew they would do it. I mean...
They didn't tell us.
We knew there was going to be PS5. Let's be honest.
That's true. We didn't know what it was going to look like.
It does. Okay. I think here's my thing. Everyone says
tell me about it.
It looks like an internet router, right?
It does.
I feel like that's not even a good insult because like an internet router is another piece of technology. Like, okay, you know when like the iPhone 11 came out and everyone was like making fun of it and like they made it like into Pokemon and stuff like that.
Because of all its holes?
Yeah, it's holes.
Yeah.
Like that made sense. That was a riff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you could argue that any console looks like a Wi-Fi router. You know what I mean? Like they're all square and oblong like that.
I will say that the GameCube does not look like a Wi-Fi router. And also maybe the Game Boy SP.
Sorry, I was adjusting the levels.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. You know what? You're right. I'm talking, more consoles. I mean, recent consoles.
But
I don't know. That's my little anecdote about the PS5. I'm excited for it.
I'm pumped about it.
You hate how it looks? Like, you know what I mean? Like all jokes aside. Okay.
No, I think it looks fine. I've seen different Photoshops of where people have made it just all black and it looks 1,000 times better. I don't hate the way it is, but I don't think it looks very good.
Right.
I think that I'm definitely going to mod mine when it shows up.
I'd be down for that.
I'm gonna throw it on. I'm gonna play Spider-Man, and then eventually, when I've finished Spider-Man in one sitting, then I will do that stuff. I will be making it prettier.
I love that. Yeah, I'm excited for the Slim model when that eventually comes out. We were talking about this, but you look at the PS4 versus the PS4 Slim, even the PS3 versus the PS3 Slim.
I mean, every console of every generation,
it just looks better.
One even had a Slim version that's like that big.
Right.
I'm making a very small hand gesture.
Yeah, just like imagine. Never mind.
The smallest violin.
The smallest violin you could think of.
It's that one. It's that sound.
Nice.
Remember that?
What's our? PS5. It's coming out. It's pretty cool, and it's got an SSD in it, dude.
It's got an SSD. Mark Cerny told me about it for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's best in class, not fastest. Best in class.
What
SSD.
Class? Geography. So that's what the PS5 is. It's going to have a lot of cool games. Going to have cool accessories. It's coming out with a camera
and
right at the start. 3D
a media
audio
remote.
A media remote. Honestly, pretty cool.
Actually, yeah. Like once we get if we get it, I actually think that would work because we've been, we got that's for later, but it would fit into our setup, which we'll talk about at another part of the show.
Next piece of news. This is a big one for the film world. I'm going to move my microphone a little bit.
Oh man, I hope you guys can hear that.
I know it's crazy. It's a big one for the film world. The Oscars and basically every other big award thing, but most notably the Oscars, have been delayed. Pushed to April 25th, 2021 from February 28th. So it's basically only been moved by a month.
Right.
The BAFTAs have moved to April 11th. I did not look up where they originally were. British, the British Film Awards.
Okay.
It's kind of like the second most prestigious, essentially. And then the Emmys are going completely digital. I don't know exactly what that looks like. I didn't do very much research.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of award shows, to be honest.
Yeah, I look at it after the fact.
Yeah, that's pretty much the extent.
I watch the opening number that
Right.
Billy Crystal does when he comes back for the 50th time to host the Oscars.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big award show guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only award show that I probably actually care about is the Streamies. I don't know
Really?
why.
Are they still a thing?
They're definitely still a thing.
For me, it's the Game Awards.
Yeah, they've gotten worse. The Streamies have, in my opinion.
What a surprise.
Because they're like, now it's like, oh, what's your favorite GIF? Like, what's your favorite, I'm like, I don't care. I want to see my favorite YouTubers, and that's really all I care about.
Was it the Streamies that there's this long, like, red carpet interview with, Kasim, what's his name, and the girl who plays Mona Lisa in Parks and Rec, and then Norm Macdonald is there. And it's just these awkward, awful interviews, and Norm is just having a great time.
Oh, I've seen those clips. Yeah.
I think that was the Streamies at one point. It's just like they're all sitting on this weird stage with couches and stuff. They have no common ground whatsoever. It reminds me
of
bad.
like when Ninja went to Times Square.
Yes, and he tried to get everyone to floss.
I don't see enough movement.
It's so bad. They're all just looking at him like, what is
Yo, this isn't
happening?
a Twitch stream, bro.
Yeah, exactly. They are not 12 years old.
Yo, thanks.
They don't know who you are.
Big Daddy 420 for the sub and the gifted sub tiers. I appreciate you. Anyways,
Froggers in the chat.
That would have if you would have said like Poggers or something, that would have redeemed it, I think.
Next news. Got one piece of video game news. Next, Star Wars Squadron.
I am excited.
I wasn't until I found out that it was going to be VR. So Star Wars Squadron is seemingly like a reboot of the Star Wars Rogue Squadron franchise, this old like Star Wars fighter video game thing, which was really cool back in the day. I never played them, but that's what I'm aware of, is that people love these games. But it's going to be made by Criterion, who did the single player story from Battlefront 2.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
So, and did
you watch the Jack Sprague's video?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because go ahead. Sorry, I'll talk about that in a second.
It's going to be all first person, which is interesting. You're going to be able to customize your fighter, and I didn't care about it at all until I found out that it was going to be VR compatible.
See, I'm getting more excited for it because I love dogfighting, like actual
dogfighting is against the law,
right? But I'm talking about in planes,
airplanes,
and aeroplanes. Yeah, but yeah, like back in the day on History Channel, I used to watch Dogfights, the show, and it was like they reanimated real dogfights with like historically accurate data, and like the pilots would narrate it and everything. It was one of my favorite shows.
This would narrate it?
Yeah, like the people who were flying it, and like I wanted to be an Air Force pilot so bad. But saying that to say, one of the first games that I got for my Wii was, I don't even remember what it was called, but it was a dogfighting simulator, and I played the crap out of that game. So
Nintendogs?
No, it's not. It was some realistic thing. I don't even remember what it was called.
You saying Nintendogs is unrealistic?
I don't even know what you're talking about, man.
You don't know Nintendogs?
I don't. I am sorry.
Oh, man. Best game of all time.
Anyways, I love dogfighting. I love dogfighting games. And I feel like this could be something I could get really into. And, in the Jack Strike video, he was talking about how it's going to be like the main mode is going to be 5v5, which I think
be really
is
cool.
Really, especially for like our Discord server and just like the people we play with.
If we could get everybody, I don't know that anybody would even hop on that. I would hope they would.
I mean,
I don't see Bill getting on.
Because
he's not a Star Wars guy.
Bill. Yeah. I mean, frick Bill sometimes.
Frick Bill sometimes.
But we still love him most of the time.
We still love him.
Sometimes. Anyways, but yeah, I'm excited for it. And I'm curious to see what they kind of release coming up here. I want to see actual game footage and not, Unreal Engine
DICE.
Yeah. Because that always looks better. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get it. It's rendered with the engine, but I don't know. I feel like it gets your hopes up.
It's going to be gorgeous. They're going to use photogrammetry, and it's going to be in space, and it's going to be like a cockpit in space, and it's going to look amazing.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just a matter of how it plays.
Yeah. I'm curious though with the strategy, like if it's really well balanced, because it sounds like you can customize your like starfighter.
Yeah.
And the way I'm thinking of it is like almost like in Call of Duty, we've been playing a lot of Warzone, where you can like spec out your guns and everything like that. I feel like that would bring a really cool element to that. That would like
put a monolithic suppressor on your X-wing. 60 round mag.
Yo, I strapped 2 Grows on my A-wing, dude.
That's amazing. Wow.
Anyways.
Oh boy. I was trying to think of a third thing, but I couldn't think of it.
Yeah. We're excited for the
RPGs on a Y-wing fighter.
It's too late. Loadout drop.
C4.
Get a loadout drop in space.
Oh boy. That's the funny thing that I said. Next piece of news. Are you ready for it? I got 2 last pieces of news.
Hey, watch your helmet turn you down.
Oh my gosh.
Too loud, buddy.
You're being too loud. Next piece of news, Guardians of the Galaxy, you remember them?
Yes,
They guard the galaxy and they're so edgy and everything.
Yeah.
So
They're
Guardians
in a society.
3, they are in it. Well, Joker's in a society. But Guardians 3 will be the last movie directed by James Gunn. He's considering it his trilogy.
Really?
And then he's going to be out after that.
Oh, okay.
Not the last movie, but he's not pulling a Tarantino and saying that he's going to retire for the 30th time.
Right.
But no, he's saying this is the last Guardians movie for him. Like, this is his trilogy, this is his script, and he's out. Which, after the debacle of him getting fired and getting rehired, probably has a little bit extra to do with it if he's like, I'm going to be done with this for a while.
Like, you know what? I'll finish this out, but I don't really want to, come back for another project. I understand that.
And he said it's also likely going to be the last one with the current lineup, the current cast.
Right.
Which makes sense. I don't see Chris Pratt necessarily going anywhere.
I don't know. I feel like at some point, what else are you going to do with it? Like, they've done a lot, and I think it's good. I don't know if I've actually seen Guardians 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like that's
got Kurt Russell.
I don't think I've seen it. I don't know. I might have watched it once. I can't remember.
One of my favorite MCU movies.
Okay, well, I watch it. I definitely need to. We have Disney Plus. I think I haven't seen the only Marvel movies I haven't seen are that one and Far From Home, and then
not on Plus.
Really?
No.
And then Thor. I want to say this. No, not Ragnarok.
Oh, you haven't seen Thor 2, the Dark Thor.
Yeah, which I don't think I'm missing much.
It's the bad Thor.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited for that.
I think it could be good. The Guardians have had a very changing roster throughout their comic book history.
Right.
So it doesn't seem so crazy and weird that it would swap up. And they added Mantis in the second one, and now she's a regular. So they can keep adding people, but at some point it's going to be a 5,000 person team. So somebody's got to leave. Maybe, Sly Stallone will join up. He was in the second one.
Great.
You got to see it.
I will.
And one more piece of news. Your favorite TV show and franchise, The Witcher. Just kidding. You haven't seen The Witcher and you haven't
I barely
read the books. And you sort of played the game.
I got stuck. I literally am stuck in a mission where I don't have anything to heal with, and I'm stuck in this cave that's in the middle of a mission. And no matter how hard I try, even if I hit every shot perfect, one hit and I'm screwed because I think I know the exact
one you're talking about.
I don't know. It's somewhere.
Are you fighting against one big wild hunt guy, and then Yennefer or somebody is there with you?
Yeah, Yennefer's there with you.
Yeah, I got stuck on that one too, and it took me forever, but I got past it.
Okay, yeah. I don't feel like restarting. Mm-hmm. Maybe I will now, or I'll buy it on PC and restart there because I only have it on PS4 right now.
Frames now.
I can. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. How much we'll have to check out how much Witcher is. But yeah, what we're gonna say about Witcher.
The Witcher season 1 was a little bit controversial in the fact that it had diverging timelines and it wasn't very clear until several episodes in.
Right.
I, as someone who had read the book that the series that season was based on, didn't realize that was happening until however many episodes in. It was confusing and people were kind of upset about it. But there's reasons behind that, and it kind of makes sense the reason they had to do it that way.
Right.
But Witcher season 2, they have said now for, the third time, I don't know why this is news again, but there were articles about this everywhere. Witcher season 2 will be a linear story. There's going to be flash forwards, flashbacks, sure, but it's going to be the story that's happening for all the three main characters is going to be a story that continues throughout, which is going to be
a lot easier for people to probably drop into and get familiar with. Yeah. Love it.
And, I think that's all my news. I don't think I missed anything.
Heck yeah. No, I can't really think of anything
that happened.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, that should be it. End of the news segment. What's our next segment, Marshall Parrish?
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes when you're out of news, you just gotta move on to where you live, where your roommate knows your name.
Play that intro!
Apartment News, your number one source for news about Ben and Marshall's apartment. And now your host, live on Linux, Benjamin Earl Weber.
All right, the intro got played. Wow, that was super great. Hopefully that wasn't too peaky right there, but
I was going to go into my rendition of Cheers, but it was...
No, it's all good. We don't need to do that.
It was where your roommate knows your name.
We're good. I paid a guy on Fiverr to make us an intro to that. We don't need another one.
Pay a guy on Fiverr. Do an intro for us.
Anyways, apartment news.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name.
I am your host, Ben Weber. Everyone knows my name. And we are officially starting the apartment news. Woo! segment of this show. Now I'm going to open the floor first off today to Marshall, because I think really this is the first time he's going to carry this segment, but I feel like he has the best apartment news of this week.
Like both of these apartment newses are kind of my apartment newses.
Exactly.
It was my money.
I have like a half apartment news. I mean, I can take credit for what I did, but anyways, go.
Yeah, you did a thing.
You go.
The first and most important part of apartment news is that I have a sword.
That is true. And what replica is this sword
This
of?
is the sword of Aragorn, son of Arathorn, the heir to the throne of Gondor, the Ranger Strider. This is not, however, Anduril. This is not the sword reforged. This is not the shards of Narsil reforged to defeat Sauron, not the Flame of the West Anduril. This is simply his sword as the Ranger Strider. Okay, so just get that out the way, get that clear. There is no elven etchings in the fuller on this blade.
And if you would like to see a picture of this sword, you can follow us on our new Instagram.
Ben and Marshall do a podcast on Instagram. I wanted to do Ben and Marshall do an Instagram, but it wouldn't let me because it thought that already existed. But I think that maybe you just can't have Instagram in the name.
That would make sense.
Anyways, whatever.
Yeah, follow us and you can see a picture of that sword. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty neat.
What's the next piece of apartment news?
Next piece of apartment news, I got paid and I was like, oh man, PS5 is coming out, and then we're going to have 4K technology.
And we have a 4K Xbox.
We got a 4K Xbox. I got all these 4K HDR movies. Time to buy a good TV. So, we did it. We did it.
You did.
Well, you were there.
But you bought it.
I did. We went to the store and we bought the TV, and it was a good time. And then
we got a price match.
We got a price match.
It was a good deal, man. It was a very good deal. I will highly recommend the Westinghouse 55-inch whatever TV it is.
Yeah.
It colors are great. The blacks are very black. I mean, it's an all around good TV. Colors are like right out of the box. Colors are pretty good with it. I feel like we're peak white guying it right now. But, anyways, it's a good TV. And I mounted the TV to the wall.
You did, and it looks good.
I know. I'm pretty proud. It looks amazing. I mean, we can put a picture of that up too for people if they want to see it.
Boom.
Wow.
There's a picture.
Just imagine it in your head.
On the Instagram.
It's a TV mounted to the wall.
TV on the wall. Instagram. This could be the new thing, apartment news. We post the photos of apartment news.
I like that. That's actually great. We should have that like a separate post every week.
Yeah.
See, we have so many good plans for this
we post the show,
podcast. Anyways.
There we go. Well, that's apartment news. I don't have anything else. I wrote down sword. I wrote down TV. That's what I got.
Cool. Well, I'm proud of you. I think that's the end of apartment news. I'll hand it over back to my Fiverr guy to take us out of this segment. Thank you, Fiverr guy.
Thank you, Fiverr guy.
I should figure out his name. We should just shout him out, make him a cult.
Get him a cult
following. Yeah, John Johnson. Anyways, so what do we got next?
Vaguely
Mr.
copyright
Parrish?
infringement. The Martian Manhunter's name is John Jones.
Oh,
what a great secret identity.
John Jones.
John Jones. With a Z. It's a stupid name. It's very golden age of comic books. But this week, Ben, we have watched a movie.
I'm so excited for this.
We watched one movie last week, or the week before that. And this week, we've watched another movie. And we're going to talk about both of those movies.
Wait, what?
But
wait, what other movie did we watch? I thought we talked about that one.
The Maltese Falcon.
We talked about that one.
Yeah, but we watched this one so we could compare and contrast.
I have a fun fact about the Maltese Falcon that actually pertains to this movie that I don't know if you know.
Oh, I definitely. Is it pertaining to one of the main characters?
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course I know that, Ben.
Dang it! Anyways.
How would I not know? How did you possibly think that I would not know?
I don't know. I thought there was a slight chance.
That's insane.
I don't know. I wanted to have another fact this week.
Absolutely insane. But we watched Chinatown this week.
Dude.
It is a movie.
I'm just going to preempt this with, I think it is my favorite movie of all time now.
Wow.
If not, it's very close to the top.
Yeah.
I absolutely, I loved it. I'm not going to say yes or no yet, but I don't know. Maybe you can guess.
I loved it. I won't say if I give this a rating of yes or no, but I loved it.
Because that's at the end of the, we can't say that yet.
That's true. So here we go. Chinatown. Here's the plot. Here we go. Directed by Roman Polanski, which, we'll discuss that at some point. But directed by Roman Polanski, stars Jack Nicholson as Jake Gittes, Faye Dunaway as, what's her first name? Evelyn Mulray, and John Huston as Noah Cross, John Huston, director of The Maltese Falcon.
And that was my fact.
Yes. So, Jake Gittes is a private detective. And
Can you say that name again?
Jake Gittes.
There we go.
What did I say the first time?
Yes.
Jake Gittes is a private detective, and the movie opens. He's in a meeting, whatever. It's fine. The guy leaves. He comes into another meeting with a woman who says that her husband is being unfaithful. He suggests that she just let it happen, let it go, because these things can just kind of cause unnecessary harm. She pressures him and he gives in. So Jake investigates the man who is the head engineer at the water and power plant in, does it take place in LA, right?
It does, yes.
Los Angeles. That's what LA stands for.
Which I thought it was, speaking of that, I thought it was a really cool setting because I think this is in
1937.
Yeah, so it's set in 1937.
Yeah.
And it's beginnings of LA, and so it's a different vibe. Like they're talking about, like at some point I think they'd say like LA is a small town, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. It's just so weird. Like
Yeah,
it goes to the LA River and it's like mostly rock.
Yeah.
It's not like pavement or anything at all, which is weird.
Yeah. Very cool.
But he goes to investigate this guy who's the head engineer at the water and power plant. And this guy is refusing to build a dam that he says would explode. It would help the local farmers.
And the reason that he's going to investigate him, by the way, is that he was hired by a woman which is at this point in the story, his wife, to make sure that, she's not cheating or he's not cheating on her.
Yeah, I said that.
Oh, you did? Oh, my bad. I
Pay attention.
Oh man, I thought we buzzed right over that one. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, listeners.
It's all good. So he doesn't want to build this dam because he thinks that it would break like a previous dam. At least that's supposedly his reasoning.
No. I think the previous dam that he built broke, and he doesn't want to make the same mistake again.
Are you making a joke right now? Because that's the exact thing that I just said.
What the? Oh my God! I interpreted that in a completely different way.
Okay.
You just said you just said that the building a new dam is going to break a different dam.
No,
the first dam is already broken. There's only one dam that they're talking about.
Yes,
dam 1 gone. Dam 2, that's the one they're trying to build.
Correct.
Okay, same page. I don't know, listeners. Tell me if maybe I'm on the right side.
Okay.
Or if I'm just here. I'm gonna say this. I didn't sleep last night. I'm on at least 24 hours right now.
All right.
Of being up. So give me a little bit of a break.
So here we go. Jake follows the man to the desert, where he seems to be up to something. This guy's just like roaming around, and it's weird. And he follows him to a beach where he seemingly does nothing until nightfall, when suddenly water starts flowing from a pipe in the cliff face. The guy seems to be checking all different water sources for some reason. At one point, he meets a little boy on a burro, a donkey or something, and he gives him something, and we don't know what it is exactly. Turns out he is having an affair, and Jake gets it in the paper. But Jake isn't getting it in the paper; it just gets in the paper, and that's the way it goes. He gets really upset at one point about this because like the guy next to him at the barbershop is like, I guess you're a real piece of work, huh? You're a jerk ruining people's lives.
Who happens to be a
guy who forecloses on houses and stuff like that. So he's like, I got an honest job. I do good work. I'm helping people. Which is, when we get to comparison, is a really interesting point, because that is a big difference between him and Sam Spade. Is that he's genuinely trying to do good and trying to help people. Right. Whereas Sam Spade is just like, this is my job and I don't care.
Yep.
He goes back to the office after this encounter at the barbershop, and a woman he's never met claims to be the actual wife of the man he just exposed, and says that she did not hire him. So it seems that he has been set up. Jake goes to investigate Mulray's office and finds what he was given by this boy in the desert, and it's got some kind of cryptic note on it about like the water coming in different places. Jake goes to Mulray's home. Mrs. Mulray greets him, Evelyn Mulray, and Mr. Mulray isn't there. She says he's at the office. Jake knows that he isn't because he was just at the office and he wasn't there.
Evelyn is pretty hot.
Well, it's Faye Dunaway. So, I mean, yeah. What are you going to do?
Frick, I don't know.
That's a good point. Jake goes to where she says Mulray might be, and there's cops there, and finds out he is dead.
Oh no!
Jake finds the boy that Mulray met and is told that the river flows in different directions, different sections every night, which is weird because it shouldn't, because LA is in a drought.
It floods in different sections. Floods in different sections.
Yeah?
You said flows in different directions.
Well, I said sections after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My attention to detail is just not
Yeah.
there right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Jake goes back to where Mulray was killed and is shot at. Suddenly the water starts flowing again, and he tries to escape and is come upon by some gangsters, one of which is Roman Polanski, the one that cuts his nose,
Right.
the director.
Oh, that was the director?
Yeah.
I did not know that was a cameo.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pretty good little role. I was
He
sold
didn't
on his
like
acting.
it. He wanted
really?
to do something bigger, but
Oh,
whatever.
Well, screw him.
Because he had to cut his long hair to do it. So he was like, well, if I'm going to do this, then I want to do something cool.
I gotta cut my long hair. Ooh,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm Polanski. I made a pretty good movie that I really like. I mean, man, I mean Ben Weber.
So the woman that pretended to be Mrs. Mulray calls and says to read the obituaries for some reason. And he's like, whatever, I don't know.
I love saying obituary. It's a fun word.
Okay. So Jake meets Mrs. Mulray at a restaurant. She knew about the affair and she herself was having affairs. Jake finally kind of tells us what has been happening. It says somebody's been dumping thousands of tons of water from the city's reservoirs and we're supposed to be in a drought. So we're figuring out like this is a thing that's happening. We still don't know why it's happening.
Right,
Jake tells
they're in a drought.
Yeah, they're in a drought. Jake tells the water and the water and power people that he knows what's up. Jake meets with Mrs. Mulray, who officially hires him to find out who killed her husband. Goes to an orange grove and finds out that they are not getting the water that the power people say that they're supposedly getting, that they're actually getting like poisoned and like ruined.
Yep.
And they figure out that all of the water that is supposed to be going there is not going there. And they're doing that specifically so they can buy up that property through their old relatives. And then as soon as they have that property for cheap, they can put all the water there and make millions off of it.
Absolutely.
So now we know.
To $60 million.
Whoa.
Which, hey, let's do a quick adjustment for inflation. I think it's that's a fun thing.
Yeah.
1937? Okay. Keep talking. Give me a second.
Yeah. So that we finally know what the plot is. We know what the secret ulterior motive is. And through all this, Jake has also met with Noah Cross, who is...
What year was it? 1937?
1937.
Okay. Jake
has met with Noah Cross, who is Evelyn's father, who is wanting him to go and find this woman that Mr. Mulray was having the affair with and make sure that like she stays quiet and that she's not going to get attacked by anybody or anything like that. And he seems like a pretty like genial old man, just seems like all right old guy. Nothing weird or off about him necessarily in that moment.
Oh my God.
How much is it?
$1,068,300,000. Wait. No, wait. What? Oh, yeah, $308,333.33. That is a big chunk of change.
That's a lot.
It's $1 billion.
Yeah. So yeah, Jake follows Mrs. Mulray and finds that she is keeping the woman that was the affair supposedly hostage, it looks like. And he finds out, oh, well, this is actually my sister. So
and also
we're getting there. This is my sister and I'm taking care of her. So just let it be. And he's like, well, whatever. Jake gets a call in the middle of the night to meet the fake Mrs. Mulray. He goes in the morning and the door is broken into.
Did you mention that they fricked or no?
Yeah, that happened. They do the deed at one point. He gets the call to go to the place where the woman that set him up at the beginning or was paid to set him up. He goes there. The door is broken into. She's dead. And the police think that he had something to do with it. So the police are really hot on his trail now. At least they think they are.
Okay. Two questions.
Yeah.
So the just to confirm, the main police guy, or like I don't know what his title is.
I can't remember.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They used to work together, right?
Yeah, they were partners in Chinatown.
Okay. And then is there something about Chinatown that you're supposed to know, like going into this movie? Because they reference it like...
They reference it a lot. And I did some research and I did a lot of... I'll explain that because the title is a really intriguing part of this.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to get clarified.
Yeah. So the police think that he's been doing all these things, that he's being paid off by Mrs. Mulray to stay quiet after she killed her husband or whatever, which is not what happened. So Jake finds what he thinks is Mr. Mulray's glasses in the pond at his house, and he thinks that Evelyn drowned him. So he goes to the house now where she's keeping the girl, and says, well, I know that you did this. I'm saying that you did this. I'm calling the police right now. They're going to come here and they're going to arrest you because I'm done with this and I'm getting my way out of this and I'm tired of this nonsense. And finally, we find out the wild twist and the underbelly of this entire story that this is not only her sister. She keeps saying, who is it? Who is it? And she says, it's my daughter. It's like, no, it's not. Don't lie to me. It's my sister. Don't lie to me. It's my daughter and my sister. Which at first I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then you realize her father, when she was 14, raped her. And this is her daughter
and her daughter
and her sister.
Mm-hmm. That hit me hard, man. I don't know. I don't know what it was.
I mean, just that, like the emotion of that scene, like she's just horrified to have to like confront this and bring this up and tell him about this.
Right.
Like, and you understand all up to this point, like why she's been avoiding this and why she's trying to like keep this out of the forefront of everything and like that. And we figure out that those glasses are not Mulray's glasses. They are Cross's glasses. They're Noah Cross's glasses, the father. So Jake lets them go. The cops show up and he tells them that she went to the maid's house. So they go there and it's really the house of a former client.
Curly. Well, the guy who in the first scene of the
movie. From the very first scene, yeah. So he escapes that house and gets away from the cops to try to go and confront Mr. Cross at Chinatown. Well, he goes to confront Mr. Cross, and then they get the drop on him, and they eventually have to go to Chinatown. He's forced to take him to Chinatown, to where Mrs. Mulray is hiding with the daughter-sister. Do we know her name?
I don't know if she's ever...
She has a name, I'm sure, but I just don't know what it is.
I don't know if they ever say it. They don't. Well, yeah, maybe like when
Catherine?
after they slap her and then she comes down the stairs, maybe that's when she got
Catherine.
introduced. Okay.
But this is, and these are the final moments.
She doesn't know. I mean, unless I'm
she doesn't know
that her father is actually your grandpa.
So Jake confronts them. They get to Chinatown and the cops are there, and he's trying to explain that no, this is the bad guy. You have to listen to me. I can explain everything. You give you 5 minutes, and they don't want to do it. It's becoming very apparent that these guys are corrupt, that they're owned by Cross. They're confronted. Evelyn is killed after taking a non-lethal shot at her father, and Catherine is taken away by Cross.
I would have just capped the dude, man.
Yeah. Jake is taken home by his partners, and the final line, which is now iconic, "Forget it, Jake, that's Chinatown."
Yeah.
This is not...
How do you like them apples?
A happy ending.
And that's why I like this movie.
It is a horrifying ending.
It literally... It made me feel like sick to my stomach, because I think what for me was the mannerisms and the way that the character that Mr. Cross was played and how he acted. It literally felt so gross. And knowing
he's a devil in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, I mean it was wolf, disgusting. And yeah, I mean,
because like that first encounter with him when Jack Nicholson first meets him,
they're eating a fish with a head.
He's an old man. He's just like, this is a genial old man who lets people do stuff that he doesn't care about on his property and stuff like that, whatever.
Right.
And then you find out like this horrifying underbelly.
And I think it's the police who come to his farm to or the sheriffs that come to practice at his farm. Something with law enforcement, which I think is, oh man, I didn't even realize that's I want to say this. Every single line, shot, and anything, well, mostly lines, but pretty much every single element of this story ties in. Like there's nothing that is
extremely
not on
well
purpose.
Telegraphed.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's not even telegraphed. I think that's what's so amazing about it, is that like,
well, not in the negative sense, but like it's done well.
Summary? I want to make sure we're done before I hop into too far. But yeah, like, I mean, this is highly regarded as the best screenplay of all time. Yeah. And if you look at it, I mean, even the small thing of like Curly, he's introduced at the very beginning of the movie and his backstory set up there. Then when he goes to his house, then when he goes to his house, you don't need 2 or 3 lines of dialogue explaining what's happening. You already have that. And so like something as weird and disconnected as that comes back right at the end of the movie and is a pivotal plot point.
Yeah. You also see when he goes to the house that his wife has a black eye.
Yeah.
And that like clearly like Jake realizes, I guess I see the repercussions of what I do. Yeah. Because I'm trying to help people. And this guy obviously has done some domestic abuse due to my investigation.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, there's just literally every every single element and line of the story ties in. And it blew my mind. And I want to watch it again because I mean, the replay value on this is amazing, but really what this movie does well is it subverts every single thing that you think you know is going on. Yeah. And it makes you wonder what the question being asked is the entire time. Like, did you ever, I mean, you know, at first you think it's the water, like the whole plot is going to be about the water and that's what it's going to be. But, and then you like, every question gets answered like very quickly. So you're always like kind of on the edge of your seat and you're always interested and you never feel like it's too slow.
Different from Maltese Falcon where it feels like you don't know anything until the very end.
Right. And then every time a question is answered, 2 more questions kind of come out of that. And so it just, it everything flows into itself and then is just wrapped up in an ugly little bow at the end, you know, like, I mean, but yes, I mean, like the cinematography as well. I wanted to point out, I know this was the 70s, so that changes my perspective on it a little bit. Yeah. But I loved how they, like, if you really look at it, and I think this is a noir trope, but a lot of it is shot from main character. What is his name?
Jake.
From Jake's perspective.
Yeah, they specifically did it that way on purpose. Yeah. Like he's in every single scene.
Yep.
And you are always seeing it from like you don't know anything that he knows.
Even
or
the
that
camera placement though, it's not like there's, I mean, it happens every once in a while, but usually the camera placement is behind him. Yeah. Like you're in it. The way that they did the shit, like the handheld camera in it, it felt so natural. I don't know how to explain it, but it was one of my favorite, and this is just me being a filmmaker, one of my favorite handheld looks I've ever seen. And it legitimately made you feel like you were there. And they did it at the right times too, when things were intense, when you didn't know what was going to happen next, when you're like on the edge of your seat and then you feel even more immersed. And the music was used beautifully. It wasn't really like a movie that had a score the entire time or recognizable song. I mean, you know, obviously recognizable score, but you know, didn't rely on songs or anything like that. The music when it was there was almost like its own character. Like you knew something was going down, but like at the same time, it didn't like, you know, it didn't telegraph it again. It led up into the perfect way. Like it's freaking, I have so much to say.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's just, let me look through my summary here. Cause like I could explain the title and all that, but I don't know if there's any.
Right. Let's just kind of go through plot point by plot point. Cause there's so much that happens in this movie. And like, you know, well, for instance, the whole solution of the movie is shown to you in the first act. The glasses in the pond.
Yeah.
And like I can't remember, there's a few other things. I watched a little breakdown of it. But like if you could solve it in the first 30 minutes. And I feel like that's the ultimate, not F you to the audience, but like,
sure, hey, but like you can get it if you really try.
Yeah. Yeah. And what threw me off at first was it looked like a ring, like with the first shot of it when they see it in the pond.
That's what I was thinking. It looked like a brooch or something. Okay,
I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that then. Cause I was like, did I really miss that? Like, what the heck? And then also, the round 10 the gardener, he's an Asian, and I don't know, I guess, well, and then
all of the help were Asian,
right? So I guess that could be something with LA history, I don't know. Where am I going with this? Sorry. Helper, yes. And when you first see him, he says bad for glass, or you think he says bad for glass. And a little subtle tie-in to why he doesn't, or why Jake, I'm sorry, doesn't like China. He doesn't like Chinatown, and so he brushes him off a little bit. And who directed this?
Roman Polanski.
Okay, well, I think Tarantino did a commentary on it, or maybe not Tarantino. Sorry, there was another. Fincher.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Makes sense.
He was doing something on it. He did a commentary, and it wasn't necessarily like they didn't write it in as racism, but it was supposed to be a nod to Chinatown and the history that he had there, and like. You know,
which is kind of where the title comes from and where like the last line comes in, right? Because like we get all these moments
Chinatown's
where like
not really a part of the movie until the final act.
Yeah, which is where the question as you're watching this is like, why is this called Chinatown? This has nothing to do with Chinatown. They just mention every once in a while, that I used to work in Chinatown and it was this and that. And the reason that he left Chinatown is because of the cultural differences. He couldn't like understand what was happening, and he's like genuinely a guy who wants to do good. Right. Like you see in that barbershop sequence where he's like arguing with this guy, he's willing to like say like, let's step outside, I'll fight you because I do good stuff and I'm not going to let you besmirch me. Right. And I'm not going to let this lawsuit besmirch me or anything. I'm going to go straight to the top, and I'm going to do all this for good because I help people and I want to help people. Yep. And that's ultimately what Jake is all about. And in Chinatown, he couldn't do it. He couldn't do that because he couldn't understand the culture. He couldn't understand the people figuratively and literally. And there's a moment when Faye Dunaway asks him, like, what did you do in Chinatown? And he says, it jokingly, but like accurately, as little as possible. Because at any point, if they tried to get involved, they would often just like screw things up worse because they didn't understand the culture. They didn't understand what was actually happening. So when they talk about Chinatown, they're talking about like this place where they just had no idea what they were doing, and it was all just confusion that they're never going to understand and they're never going to figure out. They just need to move on.
Okay, so events repeat itself.
Exactly.
And okay, so he talks about like a girl that he guaranteed her death. Did you know anything about that?
Nope.
Okay, that was in the movie.
Yeah.
Like when they're having their after sex cigs.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's where like the final line kind of comes in, is that like up to this point in the movie, he has thought that he's known what he's doing, that he's like, I'm going to do good and I'm going to help and I'm going to do the right thing and it's going to be good. I'm going to stop all this stuff from happening. I'm going to stop the state from doing this and from getting all this money from these people that blah, 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 and so on and so forth. But he doesn't see like the nasty underbelly of Noah Cross doing all these awful things and all these terrible things that have happened to Evelyn, and all of this confusion and bewilderment just kind of comes to a head at the very end in Chinatown. I don't know if it's intentional that it's in Chinatown or not, but that's where it happens.
I mean, it's got to be. Everything in this movie was intentional.
And everything just goes terrible and goes wrong. And ultimately he kind of like loses, basically. Yeah. Like if this was a competition, he did not win.
Oh, not at all.
And the final line is, forget it, Jake, that's Chinatown. Right. Which is not him saying, this is the location that we're in. This is him saying, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Move on. We got to just go.
And I think like what it was like the realization that like the bad guys won again. You know what I mean? Like he thought that he had it under control. He thought he was going to be, again, like the whole movie, he's thinking that and he wants to be that. And then it just all gets taken away from him. And what feels like, I guess, they're alluding to again, like he thinks he finally has it this time. Like he's got, he's figured out his groove. He's kind of like, doing his thing now. And then this happens. And man, and I think another thing that was pointed out, in typical noir, there's a kind of the trope of like I don't know what the actual like wording technically is, but the devil woman, like the woman who ends up being the bad guy, like, and that's what it looks like the entire movie. You know what I mean? Like it looks like Evelyn's going to be the bad guy and then they take that twist at the end and you're like, oh, this is different. And that's what I mean by subverting expectations. I don't know all the specifics, but I watched a pretty good little, essay about it, and watching an essay, you know what I mean? Yeah. Video essay, where they kind of like go through and they point out all of the different parallels to typical noir filmmaking and how they subverted those expectations. And it's really cool because, especially like if you look at the Maltese Falcon, you know what I mean? Like, Yeah.
And I want to move the conversation towards comparing the two at some point.
Let's do that. Yeah. I mean, do you have anything else to kind of say about it? I don't know if I have. I guess one thing I love is that that it ends in it ends bad. Like he doesn't win. I have always wanted to make a movie like that because I feel like I get tired of knowing that the hero is going to win. Yeah. I mean, you see every Marvel movie and there's no question whether or not they're going to defeat all the aliens in New York because it's, it's Avengers. They're going to win. They're the good guys, obviously. The Jedi are going to prevail.
I mean, outside of like franchise films, it's a lot more up in the air these days where like there are a lot more like ambiguous ending movies than there used to be.
And I guess this was a thought I had a few years ago, so that's valid. But yeah, I love those kind of movies because I feel like it's a more real story. And again, I think it sticks with you more than, happy ending. Like if she had capped that dude and the cops are like, oh boy, I guess we're not getting paid anymore. Yeah. Then the movie kind of ends and it's like, oh, Chinatown, yay.
And they actually had an alternate version of the ending where he did get killed, but they changed it back because it just didn't feel right.
I think it almost feels like it feels worse that way in a good way for the story. I mean, like where he's gonna survive. He's good to go. Like, he gets the best part of this whole thing. You know what I mean? Like everything worked out for him. And I don't know, like by the end, you look at him and you're like, what a despicable person and character. And I don't know, like God. And Another thing is one of my favorite scenes. This is kind of just an unrelated tangent.
Okay.
But when he goes to the record keeper, I don't know what that is called. Where he goes to like that library thing. I mean, I was just thinking, dang, we're so freaking lucky to have Google because like, you know what I mean? Like he had to sort through all of those when we could go literally type that up in there and then have access to all those records, print off our own copy, like makes me feel like I should be researching and learning more stuff because it was so hard back in the day.
Even watching The Wire, where it takes place in like the late 90s, early 2000s, I think. Yeah. I can't remember exactly around the time that it came out, but like they're having to go look up in the records office all these kinds of different things and stuff like that because they don't have computers. It's a whole part of the first season where they're talking about how like we're finally gonna get freaking computers up in here. Right. My gosh, everything's gonna be so much easier, and it's these like massive like chonky machines.
Chonky boys.
It's great. What's the movie called? Chinatown. Chinatown, yes or no?
Oh, wait, we're going to talk about Chinatown versus Maltese Falcon?
Yes.
Okay. Wait, so is that your answer?
Chinatown, yes or no?
A resounding no. I mean, yes. Definitely yes. I mean, you know what I was going to say.
Great joke.
Subverting expectations like the movie.
I say Chinatown, yes.
Yeah, absolutely yes. If it's not my favorite movie, it's definitely top 3. Yeah. It's not tied, but I gotta let it like set in before I know if that makes any sense because I just watched it this morning. So it's kind of a tie right now between The Secret Life of Walter Mitty and this movie.
Basically the same movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Maltese Falcon versus Chinatown. The reason we watched this movie this week is because the Maltese Falcon kind of created the noir genre directed by John Huston. Yep. And Chinatown is regarded as kind of the ultimate.
Right, like the perfection of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting looking at these two different versions of it because they both have like the tropes. Yeah. And you can see them very, very clearly in Maltese Falcon, where like Sam Spade is like the hard-boiled detective, and he's got the one-liner for everything, and he's always like taking the guns from the guy and everything like that. I still
love that line.
Yeah.
Why do you want me to learn how to stutter?
It's so good. But then like those two characters, Jake and Sam, opposed to each other, are really interesting because Sam is very much like the perfect detective who's so
rooting
good
for Sam the entire time. Yeah. Whereas with Spade, you're kind of like you're not rooting for him because he's obviously the protagonist.
You mean Jake, or who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Maltese Falcon.
Okay.
Whereas like with him, like you like him, he's a protagonist, and you're obviously rooting for him because of that. But it's not in my mind that, like, for me, in my experience, it wasn't the same. Like I wanted to see Jake win, and I didn't. I kind of like was like, I just wanted to see the story unfold with Sam Spade.
Sam Spade is a much more morally ambiguous character. Yeah. And I've been reading the book, and coming from the book, I can see that is very much the way that it was written. Right. Like that's very intentional. Like the first.
So like what's some of like the internal dialogue, I guess, or like how does that come across in the book?
I mean, it comes across as he is like pretty emotionally detached from the situation.
So does he have like an agenda, or is he just detached? You know what I mean?
I mean, his agenda is solely like, this is the case and I'm doing the case. And like there's a line at one point in the movie where, and probably in the book, I can't remember right now, where he talks about like when he has to go and figure out what happened to his partner, because that's what you do, just because what you have to do. I don't like the man necessarily, I just have to do it.
Whereas our boy
Jake is all about doing
Jake,
good.
If Jake was in that situation, he would be like,
doing it because he thinks he has to for more moral reasons and not ethical reasons necessarily.
Right. It's not his first reaction. It's not his default.
But like this, the first sentence, the description of Sam Spade in the first paragraph is like the character to a T.
Yeah, read it out.
Samuel Spade's jaw was long and bony, his chin a jutting V under the more flexible V of his mouth. His nostrils curved back to make another smaller V. His yellow-gray eyes were horizontal. The V motif was picked up again by thickish eyebrows, rising outward from twin creases above a hooked nose, and his pale brown hair grew down from high flat temples in a point on his forehead. He looked rather pleasantly like a blonde Satan. And it's kind of like he doesn't play like a good guy in the book. He's just the guy doing the job.
He happens to be the protagonist, right?
And like he's very good at everything that he does. He's always taking the guns from everybody. Yeah. He never struggles at any point in this movie. I love the gunplay in that movie. Which is fine and it works great. Awesome. But then you compare it to Jake, where like if these guys have the drop on him, he's done because he's a regular man.
It shows you, like, I think one of the, at some point in the movie, he gets his nose cut and he gets beat up, and like it shows you that he's human. Like it shows you that he has a weakness, his
nose.
That's true. He wants it. He doesn't want to have it fed to the goldfish.
Yeah. That's a good line.
Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, no, I think that was a really interesting way to do that. And I think also it was cool to see, I feel like they used it as like a passage of time tool in a way too, which was cool. But yeah, I mean, it's freaking, and I encourage you again to watch it. And I've heard that actually reading the screenplay is actually very readable. Like it reads like a book, and it's very interesting to go through it.
Interesting.
That's what the guy on the video I watched said. He said it was actually just an enjoyable read. So I might read through that just because I want to see the screenplay. But it's pretty cool. Also, pro tip: if you don't want to pay for the movie, there are like playlists on YouTube that have the full movie for free. Which I didn't know before I rented it for like $5, but I also don't care because
it was still on Prime, I thought.
Oh, I rented it on my laptop. I didn't know. I think it said it was expired this morning, so I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyways, it was $3. Who cares? But yeah, no, I mean, I think I'm going to go through and kind of analyze this and just look at how it was written, and like, because it's just a masterclass in how to write a story.
And I can't remember the name of the writer. I wrote it down in
your notes.
My IMDb trivia, it's in there somewhere. Ooh. But the interesting conversation then that comes from this movie is that it's directed by Roman Polanski. Do you know anything about Roman Polanski?
I do not know. Educate me in the audience.
He's a controversial man. Okay. For good reason. Famous director from the 1970s. Also directed The Pianist, starring Adrian Brody.
Pianist.
Yep, that's the movie, which is about this guy who is
also a fun word
famous
to say.
Piano player. And
he's a pianist.
He's a famous piano player in Poland during the Holocaust.
Right.
And it's just like that progression of like this Jewish family like slowly getting separated and everything. And it's very, very good. Roman Polanski is controversial, ironically, I guess, due to the subject matter of the movie towards the end, for his inappropriate relationship with a 13-year-old.
Ooh.
So he, very shortly after making this movie, fled the country and has been living outside the country, hiding from extradition since then.
The movie being
Chinatown.
Chinatown, okay.
So I don't know how he made The Pianist.
Ironic, since one of the major plot points is that's what I'm saying. Raped at 14.
So it's a weird thing where like it kind of brings up that conversation of like, can you like separate the artist from the art? And I feel like when it's a director and not like with Bill Cosby, I feel like it's a different conversation because
there's only one person involved in that.
Well, you watch The Cosby Show, right. And that is him on screen, pretending to be this like lovable, genial man who's this great, like other than like Andy Griffith, was probably the iconic all-time family man on TV.
Right.
And we find out that he is so opposite to all of that. And it's a lot harder to watch that show and see that man as opposed to watching like a movie directed by like Mel Gibson or Roman Polanski.
Right.
Like it's not him on screen necessarily, except for when he cuts the nose. But like it's still a weird thing where like, how do we appreciate this and not like praise the man?
Right. I would say that like, just because it's a production and a film production, like there's so many different people involved, and the director obviously has a big part in the movie. He's the overall vision, but look at the writers, the cinematography. There's so many other parts of the movie that you can appreciate, and again, I think there's that it's that fine line of being able to separate the art from the artist, and like, is that okay? Is that not okay? I mean, in my personal opinion, I think it's okay to appreciate the art regardless of the artist, and then also separately be able to condemn the artist, and say, hey, I don't agree with this, but this thing objectively is good. I mean, I don't personally see a problem with that.
it's just a weird thing.
But
then
I
looking
understand
like
the dynamics, if that
when
makes sense.
The Pianist was made and it won like tons of Oscars. And
After this was known?
Yes.
And then
that was like 2000 something.
That's tough. That's really
and it's
tough.
really weird because he wasn't there, obviously.
Right.
But it's winning all these Oscars and people are like standing up and applauding and all that. And it's like, wow, who?
But they're
this
not.
is very
they're
strange.
applauding the movie. They're
but
not.
he won Best Director and all kinds of things. And like,
Well, then how? I don't know.
It's
I don't like that he
very-
won Best Director. If it's like best, a group thing or like a different element of it, then
yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing, and it kind of like it doesn't sour the movie necessarily,
yeah.
but it also kind of like it. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to consider.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah,
So
I'd be
I feel
curious
like we
to
have
see
to bring
what,
that up to some degree.
what the audience opinion on that is. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's it's just one of those things you gotta, I think, a case by case basis.
Yeah.
But yeah, in a movie, I'd say if it's like a comic or something where it's just one guy out there, it's him. There's nobody else to point blame to or direct other positivity to.
Sure.
Whereas in a film crew, there's so many different working pieces, and he's one of those. He's one cog in that machine. Granted, an important cog that drives all the other ones, but
Yeah. I just felt like we had to address that to some degree.
I'm glad we did.
And now on to another part. IMDb trivia. I'm going to try to move through this fairly quickly. I got to get to work at some point here.
And we're almost at an hour, so we're good.
Wow. So the screenplay, as we've talked about, is now regarded as being one of the most perfect screenplays ever written. It is now a main teaching point in screenwriting seminars and classes everywhere. Wow. Roman Polanski eliminated Jake Gittes of voiceover narration, which was written in the script and filmed the movie so that the audience discovered the clues at the same time Gittes did. This is something that I see often in like the same thing with like Blade Runner.
Right.
There is actually a version that you can still watch that like I think the theatrical cut has Deckard Harrison Ford narrating the entire movie. And they took that out and it's like 1,000 times better. Like,
Yeah.
that's why there's like 5 different cuts of Blade Runner, which is really confusing.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
90% of the time taking out voiceover narration like that, it seems to be like way better. The film's enigmatic title is a metaphor for moral corruption by unseen forces. Throughout the film, Jake Gittes refers to his time as a police officer in Chinatown, where you can't always tell what's going on. In Hollywood, the movie's line, "Forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown," has become a mantra for those who have been burned or snubbed by the entertainment industry. The implication being that it's better to let it go than make an issue of it, because that's just how the industry works. I love that. It's horrifying and good. What? At the end of the movie, when Jake says, "Give me 5 minutes," there are exactly 5 minutes left in the film. This was unintentional.
That's freaking hilarious.
Yes.
That it's weird when you're editing, stuff like that happens all the time. Like just weird stuff that lines up that you're like, oh, thank God that happened.
Yeah, like when I was editing a movie and it was like, I'm gonna eat a chili dog, and then like 20 minutes later the chili dog was at my house on the doorstep.
Yeah,
Crazy how that happens.
Pretty cool.
There's a rumor that this was the first part of a planned trilogy written by Robert Towne about Jake Gittes and Los Angeles. The second part,
I would think that this would be a great thing, a great movie to have a sequel.
well, you can watch it. The second part, The Two Jakes, 1990, was directed by Jack Nicholson. The supposed third part never existed, as later confirmed by the writer. However, certain elements and details of the story, a crab company called Cloverleaf tries to buy all public transportation in order to replace it with freeways, would later end up in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is an interesting, which was a film noir spoof homage of Chinatown. So you can watch The Two Jakes. It wasn't as well received as why we never got that third one. Directed by Jack Nicholson, though, which is interesting. Although Los Angeles is given its modern pronunciation in the film, Angeles, prior to mid-1950s, residents said the city's name with a hard G, Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's true.
Los
That's IMDb
Angeles.
Trivia, and this is Marshall. Welcome
and I'm Ben.
Yes, and welcome to the next part, the final part. Ben, what have you been looking at, watching, reading, checking out?
Boy, man, shoot. I don't know really what I haven't been doing too much. Oh, I've been watching. Okay, I rewatched part of The Mandalorian.
Okay,
with DeMarcion. That was good.
Nice. Had you not seen it?
He had not. No, he actually hadn't seen most Star Wars, so that's disturbing. And I
can
think
show you the original cuts. I have them.
I know. We need to get that. We need to get him on that. But yeah, I think that's really the only thing I've been getting. Oh, one thing I did watch, the Nat Geo special, or not special, but like the new Gordon Ramsay series with Nat Geo. He goes to different countries and kind of goes and explores the local culture and figures out what specific ingredients that they kind of like have and like different dishes that are very traditional to that region. Like the first episode is in Peru, and because it's Peru, everything's like super high altitude, and so it tastes different and it grows different. And like the potatoes, like because of the UV light, they're actually like blue and red because that pigment protects the potato from the UV light, because there's the atmosphere is so thin up there, and like the fruit grows bigger and sweeter because there's, you know, I guess less atmospheric pressure and a bunch of stuff. Weird. So all the food tastes a lot different, and the way that you cook has to be different, and so there's a lot of different dynamics in it. But that was just the first episode. It was really interesting, very poorly shot. That might make me not watch the rest of it, because literally, I swear to God, they went up there with a DJI Phantom and I could have flown that thing better than they did. It was like the most jittery, like first time using a thing ever. Like they literally could have thrown warp stabilizer on all the clips and it would have been fine. But no. So that really grinded my gears.
That's rough.
That's what I've been watching.
Wow. I've kept watching The Wire. Season 2 is very good. I'm almost through it. It is better than season 1. So if you want to watch The Wire, watch season 1 and watch season 2. I can't speak for the rest of the seasons yet because I have not seen them. I've been watching Avatar, as is the rest of the country. I never watched Avatar when I was little. The TV show, The Last Airbender. I never watched it when it was on, so it was my first introduction to it. It is very good. It's like super, super fun and a good time. And it's pretty funny at times. Yeah. Like it's genuinely a good time. Like it's at the same level as like Batman the Animated Series for like really good.
Actually, that's something I've been watching.
Kids have you actually?
Well, no. I mean, I watched it with you.
Yeah, you watched those few episodes.
Which I thought it was pretty good.
It's great. But I watched the first season of Avatar.
I've been watching Phineas and Ferb.
Are you really?
Yeah, man. I'm getting a whole nostalgia kick for it.
That's wild.
Okay, here's how I watched Phineas and Ferb back in the day.
Yeah.
My grandma and grandpa had a BlackBerry, and somehow Sprint had like some connection to like Disney, and you could like get Disney movies. So if you know what a BlackBerry is, the screen is like very small, like 2 inches maybe.
Yeah, it's a flip phone that doesn't open.
Yeah, and I would literally watch full episodes of Phineas and Ferb on that 2-inch screen. And just, I vibed with it, man.
That's amazing.
I love Phineas and Ferb. And that was like one of the only shows that I watched at the same time as everybody else, because I was homeschooled and SpongeBob was the devil. Thanks, Mom. Love you.
Phineas and Ferb is an all-time classic.
Okay.
I also watched The Nice Guys, which is an interesting comparison to this as well, because it's like a modern kind of thriller.
Hey, movie we should watch.
Yeah.
And I want to get the audience's opinion on this.
Okay.
Good Will Hunting.
Really?
Yeah, I love that movie. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Freaking great. We should talk about it.
Okay.
Anyways. Oh, next episode. Should we announce that? Are we going to do that thing?
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah. I don't mean to cut you off. We can talk about that in a second if you want.
Yes, I got one last thing. I'm trying to replay The Last of Us by this Friday, because that's when the Last of Us 2 comes out.
You know like how long the campaign is?
Too long. It's not going to happen.
Like in hours? Okay. But yes.
Yes, so, tell us about the next movie we're going to watch.
The next movie we're going to watch is brought to you by me. One of the 2 times that's happened, I think.
Brought to us by the Safdie brothers and Adam Sandler, actually.
But it is what everyone describes as a anxiety-inducing, stressful movie, which I hate that description of it. I mean, it is, but screw you. Anyways, every freaking review says, why is Uncut Gems so stressful? Do laundromats make money?
Do they?
Anyways, deep cut there. Yeah. But yeah, so we're going to watch Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. Mm-hmm. I love the movie.
Super funny movie.
It's kind of interesting how this one ends and how that one ends. And I think we might be able to make a little, not comparison,
make a little movie, baby.
It's kind of in the same, the same feel. I'm doing the Indiana Jones hands, not Indiana Jones. I don't know what that guy's name is.
Alfred Molina.
Alfred Molina's hands.
Yeah.
In the scene that we recreated.
Has anybody lost a large roll of bills with a large rubber band?
This is what it sounds like.
Because we found the rubber band. That's Spider-Man 2.
Good one.
But that's the show. We're going to watch Uncut Gems next week. It's going to be a good time. Check out all the social medias. You can find me on the internet at mparish_art. You can find us on Twitch at The Great Scub Do on Twitch and YouTube. Everybody who
follows our Instagram, I will personally DM you.
Yes. Okay. We can follow us on Twitch and YouTube at The Great Scub Do. We are Ben and Marshall Do a Podcast on Instagram. That is the official Instagram of the show. That's where we're going to post some behind the scenes stuff. We're going to post our pictures of apartment news and things like that. And maybe we'll do funny stories. I don't know. It'll be like so crazy and silly. Oh my gosh. And we also have an official email now. We have benandmarshallpod@gmail.com. If you want to email us with suggestions of what we should watch, what you think we should watch,
or
things
some
like that.
like pictures of pizza.
Pictures of pizza.
Yeah, like your favorite DiGiorno.
Your favorite DiGiorno.
Or delivery.
Ben, do you have any social things you want to put out there?
You go follow my TikTok. It's now Ben Earl Weber. So BENERLWEBER. And our TikTok is up to I believe 85K now.
Ooh.
So it surpassed 69K, which I was very happy about. It's pretty nice.
Oh.
And yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I think it's the end of the show. Can we be done now?
This is the end of the show. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. I've been Marshall.
I've been.
The show is over. It is done. I have had a little bit of fun.
Yeah. My name is...
No, it's over.
Okay.